Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Saul Lopez and I am an award-winning content creator based here in Los Angeles, California. I hope you're having an amazing and safe holiday season with those closest around you. In today's video, I'm going to walk you through what it was like to shoot and edit the Moncler fashion show back in February of 2019 during Milan Fashion Week. Roll the intro. Before we get into the details, here's 1 out of 4 recaps that we did for the Moncler Fall Winter 19 fashion show. Check it out. Okay, so you are a content creator and your goal is to shoot New York Fashion Week, Milan Fashion Week, Paris Fashion Week, but you don't know where to start. If you haven't seen my 5 tips to shooting New York Fashion Week, I'm gonna link it right here, but that'll give you a basic understanding of how I started shooting a fashion week. My first one was New York Fashion Week in February of 2018. I shot it for the CFDA, which is the Council of Fashion Designers of America, as well as Nordstrom. I was commissioned to shoot 4 recaps for Men and Women's Week in New York, and that really gave me my start within the fashion industry. Once you get more involved in the fashion industry, especially during Fashion Week, you'll notice that it is literally the exact same group of people that are in New York Fashion Week, that go to London Fashion Week, that go to Milan Fashion Week, that go to Paris Fashion Week. It's such a tight-knit community, and it's really special to be able to see these people twice a year during February, and then again in the fall during September, in all these different cities for a month straight. Basically, you're just going to all these different fashion shows. All right, so if you clicked on this video, you probably want to learn more about the Moncler fashion show and how I shot it. In February of 2019, I was in New York for Fashion Week, and prior to me going to New York, I had already decided that I wanted to go to Milan Fashion Week and Paris Fashion Week. I had been to those cities before just as a tourist, but I had never gone over there as a content creator looking for work during Fashion Week. So it was going to be just a new experience for me. And I really was just taking a leap of faith. I had 0 plans. No one had hired me. No one had booked me. So I was just kind of going on a whim and investing some of my own savings to go over to Europe for Fashion Week. During New York Fashion Week that February, I was just networking with a bunch of people. I shot a couple of runways for different companies. One person that I was able to connect with was Emmanuel D'angelo, also known as Living Cool on Instagram. You probably know him from photographing Emily Ratajkowski or Bella Hadid, The Weeknd, literally any and every celebrity that you know he has probably shot. Emmanuel, while he is a photographer, he also has his own line of clothing called Living Cool, and he was doing pop-ups in New York, Milan, and Paris back in February of 2019. And I think this was he was calling it the World Tour, and this was the first time that he did it. I had been following him on Instagram for a really long time, but when I was in New York for Fashion Week, I had a couple of days free, and I DM'd him just to his Instagram, and I was like, hey, my name is Saul. I am a content creator based in LA. I'm gonna be in New York for Fashion Week. I would love to come shoot a recap of your pop-up that you are having in New York. He offered to have me down, and I spent a couple of days just shooting his pop-up and getting to know him and just seeing what that was like. So that was a really cool experience. I made 1 recap video for his pop-up, and he actually posted it on his Instagram account and tagged me. He has a really large following, so the fact that he tagged me in the video actually really helped my visibility. And I had a person in Milan reach out to me and ask if I was gonna be in Milan for Fashion Week and if I was available to shoot the Moncler Fall Winter 19 show. Originally, I was not planning to go to Milan. I was only gonna go to Paris for Fashion Week just because I wanted to see what that was like. So I flew to Paris, and then from Paris, I checked into my Airbnb, and then I booked another flight to go to Milan really last minute. It was almost impossible to find a hotel room just because it was Milan Fashion Week, which is one of the busiest times of year. So I was lucky enough to be able to find one. My friend Cameron was also with me. We go to Milan literally the day before the show. And then we get everything sorted out. I meet up with Aisha and Roman, who are the two people who hired me to shoot the Moncler show alongside them. We talked a little bit about what the show entailed, what the deliverables were, and what my role would be. So I was brought on as an extra videographer, but primarily my job was to edit the recaps. So the deliverables for the Moncler show were 3 15 to 30-second recaps, and then one 16:9 recap that would go onto their various social media channels. As an event videographer, I was pretty prepared as to what to expect. It was going to be live shooting, live editing, fast turnaround times, a really hectic environment. So I was really trying to get mentally prepared. I literally have a 2015 MacBook Pro that was a little bit slow and it caused a little bit of headaches. The night of the show comes around and my role the first hour was to help shoot Millie Bobby Brown, who is one of the bigger celebrities that attended the show, and Moncler wanted one video specifically dedicated to her, and that was going to be the first video that rolled out. So aside from myself being one of the videographers, we also had Roman, who was mostly directing the shoot, but he also hopped on to be one of the videographers. And then we had an extra videographer. His name was Paolo, I believe. I apologize if that wasn't your name, but he was an older gentleman. It was mainly the three of us just shooting it, but after that first hour, my role was going to transition into editor. So once Millie showed up, I had the opportunity to go around the show with her. The Moncler show was actually really cool. It was called Moncler Genius, and they were rolling out, I believe it was between 13 and 15 different collabs that they had done with different designers. So each designer had like their own haul dedicated to them, and then they styled it and designed it to fit their brand specifically. The activations were just really insane. It was just really over the top. Honestly, this is probably one of the coolest fashion shows that I had been a part of and was able to work on. When Millie showed up, that first hour was pretty chaotic. We were kind of just running around. There was a ton of people. After that first hour, I went back to the media room, which was like in the basement of this pizza shop, like a block away. And the social media manager for Moncler, who is an American but lives in Milan, she was also there and kind of just giving me guidance, as well as Aisha, who was the producer, who was one of the people that had brought me on. So I immediately had to dump all these cards onto a hard drive and then just start editing as quickly as possible. The event was 3 hours long and they wanted 3 different recaps, basically one an hour, but it was a lot more challenging than you would have expected. Live editing is probably one of the most challenging jobs that you can do. It's really stressful. There's a lot of pressure around it just because the client really wants to pump out these videos as quickly as possible, but you also don't want to edit a really trash video. So that was, you know, speed and quality is something that you it's a give and take in these kinds of scenarios. You have to decide which one you want to do. Quality is obviously going to take you a little bit more time, but if you want it quickly, it's going to be a really quick and dirty edit. So we were kind of balancing that in between. Luckily, I had done live editing before with Happy Monday, which is a creative agency that I freelance for in New York. So I had some experience live editing, so it wasn't as stressful as I had anticipated it to be. I pumped out the Millie Bobby Brown video, which ended up being really great. Millie reposted it on her Instagram and it got like 2 million views, I think. So that was really cool. And it also went on the Moncler Instagram account. After that, I basically just stayed in the media room the rest of the night. So Roman and Paolo, they spent the rest of the night shooting. So over the course of the next 2 to 3 hours, I pumped out the last 2 edits, which went up on the Moncler Instagram. I had to do a couple of revisions for each one. It was a pretty stressful environment because there's a lot of just a lot of international people at this show. There's media outlets from all over the world sharing this cramped little media room. I'm getting yelled at in Italian, saying that I'm in their space. Fashion Week is just a very hectic, competitive, can be nasty at times environment. But you know, you have to do your best to distract yourself from that and just concentrate on what you were hired to do, regardless of what other people are telling you. The second one was a pretty cool video. You know, Alessandra Ambrosio was there, Cindy Bruno was there, a bunch of supermodels. So that was pretty cool to include them in that edit. And then the last one was just kind of, we just needed to wrap it up. I tried my best to make it a cool edit, but I felt like it was getting a little bit repetitive at that point. Nonetheless, I was able to pump out a third edit. When the event finally ended at around 11 o'clock, I started compiling all 3 recaps that we had made into the 16:9 version that was going to go on Moncler's Facebook page. And it just encompassed that same night. So I had to reformat all the clips and make it a little bit cohesive as far as like the edit goes and the story of the evening goes. For what it was, for an international Fashion Week experience. It turned out pretty well. All the posts got really good engagement, and I was just really happy to be a part of a client and work with a client such as Moncler. So that was a really, really fun experience. After this Moncler show, I hopped on a plane, went back to Paris, covered Fashion Week in Paris. So that was really cool. And then I had the privilege to go back to Milan and Paris in September of 2019, and then back to Paris early this February before the lockdown happened. So Fashion Week is just something that's really, really fun. It's really, really tiring. You're literally going for a month. It's called Fashion Month for a reason. Women's Fashion Week is every February and September before COVID. And like I mentioned before, it starts with New York for a week, then goes to London for like 3 to 4 days, then goes to Milan for like 7 days, and then ends up in Paris for like the last 10 days. And every single day is just jam-packed with shows, covering different things based on whatever you're shooting. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to get into fashion, or you want to cover any of the fashion weeks but don't know where to get started, or still have questions after this video, please leave them in the comments below, or you can DM me on Instagram at Saul Lopez. I do my best to answer everyone's questions. I love interacting with people, so feel free to hit me up. I hope you're staying safe out there, and I will see you on Wednesday. Thanks so much.
I might just hit it through. That's on my element. I like dark skins, love a melanin, talk, pushing the tongue when I'm stepping in.